Hello everybody, my name is Colette Datt and I'm a nurse consultant for children and young people working at Whittington Health. I've had the pleasure of leading this young carer identification card, which is a quality improvement project, with some colleagues from my trust, Whittington Health, but also lots of our external partners, which we'll tell you about as we go along.
Hi, I'm Nahida Rahman. I'm a fourth year medical student at UCL, and I started this project with Colette in my third year in my IBSc in paediatrics, and I've continued it ever since.
So what is a young carer? And what is it like to be a young carer? Well, let's hear from some young carers.
I do the basics. I help my mum when she's in a wheelchair. I will always help her pick up things if she drops them. I will often go shopping to help her.
Being a young carer is taking care of my mother that has disability and mental health.
I also do stuff like prepare food for her, and I will always, do the little basics, and I also provide emotional support, so if she's really upset, I am always there to help her. I occasionally cook meals.
We have to take our spare time and most of our time taking care of the people we're caring for.
I'm often very worried. I've actually had a good couple of panic attacks and I've been very scared and I've had to leave the room. I've had to breathe and occasionally I've just not wanted to be there at all and I've had to go.
It can be hard to look after the ones you love, and we just want your understanding.
So it's very clear the significant contribution young carers make to the life of the person they care for. We were meant to have some stats come across on this, it didn't work, I don't know why, but there are about 700,000 young carers in the UK. They save the NHS about 132 billion annually, but it can have a huge effect on them, on their mental, physical needs, educational attainment. But the fact is, many of them go unidentified. They remain a hidden population and often neglect their own health as they care for others. So why did we do this project? Well, we got feedback from our safeguarding colleagues that an 11-year-old girl went unnoticed on an adult ward until 11 o'clock at night. She had no way or no idea of how she was going to get home, and they hadn't noticed her. I investigated. I realised we didn't have a carers policy, so I set about writing one for the trust. I got a Band 6 nurse keen to write a policy to work with me. We did some initial engagement with adult and paed colleagues, but I was really keen to get some young carer input. So we did an engagement session in the trust with 15 young carers from Family Action Islington, which is one of our local boroughs. This is a local voluntary group commissioned to support carers. The young carers expressed their worries, concerns, and told us some really awful stories about their experience as young carers at our trust and other local trusts. Our trust got outstanding for caring from the CQC, but these young carers made us question that. In response to this, we wanted to improve the young carer experience at our trust, so we registered this project as a quality improvement project. I recruited Nahida and our young persons co-young persons lead to collaborate on the project. We set out some aims. We wanted to ascertain barriers to supporting young carers within healthcare in our trust by doing some semi-structured interviews with staff and young carers. We planned to increase young carer awareness of their rights within the NHS and empower them to exercise these appropriately. We wanted the young carers to co-create an intervention in response to the specific concerns expressed by them. We plan to write and implement a young carers policy with their input.
So, as previously mentioned by Colette, we held in the course of 14 months, we held 8 engagement events and 20 interviews with young carers and healthcare professionals. So we're going to show you a short slideshow to just capture a few of these. So the first event was held at the Whittington in October 2017, and it was at this workshop that we identified the need to teach young carers about their rights in the NHS. To address this need, we held an educational rights workshop in January 2018. The United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child was used to facilitate discussions, such as what rights the young carers felt were most important to them. An increase in young carers' knowledge and confidence to assert these rights in healthcare was noted at the end of this workshop. Semi-structured interviews were conducted with young carers and healthcare professionals to explore young carers' experiences within the NHS. And these are the 6 themes extracted: a lack of awareness and poor identification, which led to insufficient support, young carers' voices, family dynamics, and the impact of caring. The young carers love the idea of having an identification card to address their barriers to receiving support from healthcare teams, and by allowing them to co-design everything on the card, from the logos to the rights, helped us to understand what was most important to the young carers. We collected feedback from young carers piloting the card in Haringey, Islington and Camden every 3 months. This feedback was used to create a young carers policy for Whittington Trust and to create the second card prototype. So here you can see what the first card prototype looks like, and later on we'll show you what the second card looks like that we have developed using their feedback. So we worked in partnership with voluntary, healthcare and government and private organisations to advance this project. The engagement events were run by Whittington Health and UCL Medical School for young carers from Family Action and Haringey Council. Healthy London Partnership gave us £1,120 for the first card prototype, and we invited Together Creative to co-design the cards with us and the young carers. So this is what the first card looked like, and it was piloted by 21 young carers in Islington, Camden and Haringey, and we collected feedback from 12 of them. PDSA cycles helped us to improve its use because we realised that young carers didn't know where and when they can use them, so we made an A4 information sheet to help this and promote its use. We realised that the main barriers to using the card were about its design, and that the cardboard card was too bulky and it didn't look professional enough for them. So we then acted on this feedback to create a smaller plastic card, which will have the young carers' details printed on them. We aim to include 50 young carers in the second phase, which has been funded by NHS England. We were only able to access this through voluntary organisations that we work with in Islington CCG. This is a great example of how partnership working has helped us to further disseminate this project. We've been working hard to disseminate the project further through presenting at conferences, poster presentations and QI days, most recently winning the first prize at Great Ormond Street Bioethics Conference, and will be presenting at the RCPCH with an oral presentation this May. With further funding, we hope to develop an app and a website so young carers can use this to find information on their rights and services available to them, but this will cost £13,000. This is just a summary of our project so far. We have spent over 14 months engaging with young carers, designing and piloting the identification cards, disseminating the project, collecting feedback and revisiting our initial aims to improve young carer identification across healthcare services. So this is just a few of the ways that young carers have used the card. So for example, they've used it across GPs, pharmacies and hospitals to attend their parents' appointments, collect prescriptions and obtain flu jabs and cinema tickets for free. While these may seem like small steps, they've really helped the young carers, and it's alleviated a lot of stresses that they've had in doing the simple day-to-day things.
So, reflecting on this project to date, it's been a roller coaster ride with many highlights but also many challenges. Some of the positives were being able to co-develop with multiple organisations. This enabled enhanced communication between sectors and thus a greater understanding of the barriers young carers face in healthcare. But it also made us aware of opportunities for young carers. We all, as partners, learned from each other. It was led by service users, which gave them a voice. For us, listening to and understanding the views and opinions of the young carers and using their experiences to co-develop a resource has proved essential in having their support in the implementation of this initiative. The Quality Improvement Team. This enabled a pooling of resources and expertise and enabled service users and partners' objectives to be met. The personal objectives, such as Nahida getting her theses and the Band 6 nurse getting her theses, were also met too. Transferability. Nahida's literature review highlighted that young care identification is a universal issue. Indeed, 7,000 carers identified this as a problem when consulted about the NHS long-term plan. Since starting this project, we have had interest from several other trusts across London and from young carers both within and outside of London. We have consulted with the NHS England Carers Leads and they support our opinion that the card can be adapted and used universally. So challenges, what were the challenges? We had challenges with engagement. It's notoriously difficult to engage with young people because they have better things to do often, but it's even more so with young carers who have additional responsibilities. We had varying numbers of participants at each workshop. Similarly, it's been difficult to collect feedback from all young carers due to limited availability. The voluntary groups have objectives to achieve other than this project, so we had to fit in with the times when we were allowed to have access to the young carers. Funding, this was and still is really challenging. We had to do 2 separate bids to get the project where it is. We still haven't got the ultimate design that the young carers wanted. Different organisations have different priorities. This extended our timelines and affected our deadlines. So finally, most children care out of love and duty. They often don't have a choice. But we have a choice as adults to recognise and respect what carers of all ages do. The NHS long-term plan aims to improve and speed up the identification of unpaid carers and support them to address their own health needs through innovations that work. We believe that this is such an innovation. Thank you for listening to us describe our Young Carer Co-Creation project today. Our ask to you all is that the next time you see a young person with an adult with health, social, other needs, think young carer and ask them if they are okay. As Nelson Mandela said, there can be no less revelation of a society's soul than the way it treats its children. And we leave you with a quote from our young carers: "We matter too."